What's up guys, welcome to the artclasses.com. Today I am going to show you how to color Batman. If you want to download brushes and palette and more video, you can go to my website, theartclasses.com. And on the top right corner with that icon, you will see a playlist. If you are a beginner, there'll be a playlist for the digital painting for beginner and novice alike, or even intermediate. Just go to my channel. Also, if you're interested in taking digital painting seriously, you can take my class at Digital Painting 101, and I also have a group workshop and one-on-one mentorship. So, alright, well, let's just get started. So this painting of Batman, I get it from the old drawing, which is here, how to draw Batman. And if you came from that video, this video is about painting. So this drawing, I made it about, I don't know, 2009, 2010, I'm not sure. So it's quite a while ago. Alright, well, let's get started. Oh, and one more thing before we leave. So feel free to join my art group on Facebook. It's called Weekly Scribble. Each week we switch or change the topic. This week topic, which is the week of late February, early March, we have the topics Mermaid, Lightsaber, Temple of the Dwarf, Chain Gang, Medieval Zombie. And the due date, or the last day of for all these topics, is March 2nd, 2016. So if you watch this week, you can do all this topic, but if not, come join anyway, and then make sure that you are on the current topic when you post. Alright, I just started last week, so now we only have like 200 members, so feel free to join us. Post your painting, but follow the topic. Alright, let's get started for real. And the link to the group is right below the video. Alright. So I bring in a really old drawing of a Batman that I did for the How to Draw Batman way back, probably 2009, 2010. I'm not sure when it was. So I just bring it in and make it on a normal layer on top of the background, which I make it about 70% gray. So then I'm just gonna take out the bat sign because it's a little outdated since, you know, Batman versus Superman's coming out. It has a little more of a beef up Batman, and it has like a huge bat sign. So I just paint over that with the color of the background color of the paper. Just color pick it, and then I'm just gonna make the bat logo bigger, fatter, and thicker. It's like a Frank Frank Miller style Batman, because it's a little beef up. So got a little more rectangular shape this time. Simplify that huge, like big, not like a streamline bat logo. So it's a bit bigger. Then I'm gonna make the ear a little shorter. So I go back to the layer of that original scan or photo. I can't remember, did I take a photograph or scan. Then I'm merging everything down, and I have to make sure that the background is white, so that when I turn this outline into, usually I'll turn the outline into multiply or the top and put it on the top layer. And if you can still see some greenish color there. I'm just gonna turn this to black and white there, and it's still a little darker gray. I'm gonna use level to tone that, get rid of that darker gray. So now I have totally transparent. You have to make sure that the background of the paper that you scan in or take a photograph in become white. So when you put it on multiply, you will have that translucent, or I mean transparent, without picking up any color, because you're gonna have a problem when you're using a color picker when you pick the color pass through. And I changed the background to a little bit toward sepia or brown, Then I'm making the another layer just normally underneath that top layer that I make it multiply or transparent, and just paint 100% gray. And at this point I just want the silhouette. Just paint the whole thing and make sure that this, I have to make sure that this layer is 100% paint, and then I'm just gonna delete and access paint. So there, this part is a little time consuming, so I might cut it. So just make sure that you have all the paint covered the outline. So, and make sure that everything is within the line drawing inside, because it's gonna be easier when you like select the layer and just select the silhouette, and you can just sometimes you can just paint without having to worry about if it's going to go over the outline or not. So it's kind of like a mask. You can use this layer just like you're using a mask. Just gonna erase that some more. So basically I just make sure that everything is in line. Excuse me. And erase some more. I should have skipped this because you're just watching me erase. That's a lot of fun. And add some more paint, and if there's some like on that bat ear, the other side doesn't have the paint, I have to add the paint, and I have to make sure that all these paint match along, match it accurately with the line that I draw. But I'm probably going to make his waistline a little thicker because I want it to look a little more realistic. And then I make another layer behind it and making a cape there. And it's still the same value, but you can change it later. Since you have two layers, you can just make a selection of one layer and make it a different value. The one behind it usually will be lighter, but if it has a shadow, then it will have a little, it will be a little darker, like what I'm making the cape right there. So, and now I'm going back to the bat layer. Making a copy of it, turn it to multiply, and usually when I paint, I don't do this, but I did this with Deadpool color. I turn it to multiply, and since it's the similar color and Batman's going to be gray, I'm just going to use multiply on top, and I'm just going to use eraser to erase out the light. So alright, what am I doing here? So I'm going to use soft brush first and eraser about 50%. So I'm just going to erase out these darker values because I make a copy of the body that I have earlier in the silhouette, and then I turn to multiply, so it becomes darker. So now I just erase out the dark, so it becomes lighter on the spot that I'm erasing. So it's kind of like an easy way to render, and I use soft brush so that it's getting a little softer on this erasing. You can usually I will start, like when I paint, I usually use hard edge. In this one, for some reason, I start using soft brush because I thought it would be an easier tutorial or something. Then I use texture brush to erase to help building up the texture along this soft brush, because soft brush, I don't really like using soft brush overall as a whole because it makes everything too soft. I like to put texture on my painting, and now I'm using hard edge to create the hard edge in between deltoid and the chest. And when I try to create a highlight, I use hard edge also to create the hard edge on the edge of that shoulder, make it a bit lighter. And highlight on the forehead and a bit onto his browns, make him look slightly angrier, and on the edge of the front edge of the bat ear. So right now I'm just getting a general light and shadow. It's pretty much a mid-tone or slightly darker than mid-tone. Now I'm getting his facial feature. Probably gonna change it after when I actually start painting. At this point I'm just starting, this is what we usually call the underpainting, or just trying to get the idea of where the light and shadow can come from. And the lighting is coming from the front, a little bit off to the left side of the screen. And then I'm doing the mid-section of the pecs, and some light onto the other cape. It's the other side, the right side of the cape, and now left side of the cape. A little light on this bicep. And on Sunday, I'll upload how to draw the arm with a bunch of muscle, if you are not familiar with how to draw them correctly. And the forearm, so the underside of the forearm has like these two huge muscle. The one that right on top of your like on the side of your thumb, there's one big muscle on the forearm. And now I'm using a hard edge brush to create some hard edge on his abdominal, trying to make sure that it's on the right position there. So between soft edge and hard edge, whenever the hard edge happens, that means you have abrupt change in the change of plane. So the change of plane is not smooth, or it's not curving. So when the two planes are intersect or having like a really sharp angle, that's when the hard edge happens usually. And if the plane are smooth, like on the surface around his pecs, one pecs, then you will get the soft edge. But in between, like when the muscle intersect or overlap or crossing over, like in between his deltoid to his pecs, you're gonna see hard line right there in between deltoid and pecs. And also the deltoid to bicep and the deltoid to tricep, from the below, you're gonna see that hard line of light and dark. But within the deltoid itself, or within the bicep muscle group itself, it usually will be soft edge, because those have a smooth surface or smooth transition. Alright, so now I'm zooming out, and I'm going to the cape layer and changing, using level to change it to a little bit darker. And now his body pop out a little bit more. Then I'm gonna paint the outside of the cape, which is gonna get some more light, and the darker side will be the side that's facing his back, so that will receive the shadow. And now I'm painting the edge of the cape, which has a little lighter. Now I'm going back to this his body normal layer. I'm using overlay. Actually, I'm making no overlay on top of those two layers that I just made for the body. Then I'm adding the color from the background, because the color of the light is actually the color of the background. Say if you're in the environment that has sunlight, it will be a little more blue because your background will be more blue. So lighting is not white. It depends on the background color of where you're at. And if you have two light sources, which different color, you can have two different lighting. So this light gonna get a little brown. Now I'm making another overlay, picking 13% dark, but I turn the overlay layer itself to 54, so it doesn't get that dark. So now I'm adding a bit more contrast to the cape itself, because the cape's gonna have a different value than the body. So I want the cape and the mask to be slightly darker, and then the bat logo gonna be slightly darker, and the body itself gonna be a bit lighter, kind of dark gray. But the cape and the bat logo will be black. And the reason I don't use black is because there's no such thing as black when you paint. Everything's going to be dark gray. The only way everything will get black or super black is when you have an occlusion shadow. So you will use anywhere between 10% brightness to 20 to 25% brightness to convey black. And especially if it's leather, then you have a material to deal with. If your material bounces the light, then you can have a hot spot or a highlight which get really light. So now I'm just picking out the shadow side. The glove will be dark also, the belt, and the other side of the gloves. So that, and the reason I zoom out because whenever I zoom in, I have a hard time gauging or make an educated guess about the correct value. So when you zoom out, I can tell a little bit more of if I go too light or too dark for the overall image. And most of the time when I'm going to make a judgment on how good my lighting is, I will kind of take a look at the navigator right on the bottom. If the lighting looks right, then it's going to look pretty realistic or almost like three-dimensional, like a sculpture, or sometimes it can look super real. So that's easy. So now I'm just using eraser to erase some of the dark out that I just used on the overlay, that there. And this tutorial is going to be about 40 or 50 minutes long, so it's going to be quite a while. I might fast forward the end, so this is about the real time. And like when it's closer to the end, when you get all the stuff in that you don't need to look at all these layers anymore, I'll probably fast forward, because when you get when the setup is correct, or when the setup is good, as you go further you don't need that much information anymore. And maybe you do, I don't know, depends. If it's character design, yes, but this is Batman. Everybody knows what Batman look like, and all you need to do is set up and have a good lighting. So now, as you can see, I set up the 6-pack and pecs, and now I'm adding a little more somewhat a darker value around the occlusion area, or where the dark shadow would happen. Use a texture brush to glaze over his abdominal muscle a little bit more. And now I'm still on the overlay layer, which is a new overlay now. I'm trying to add, now I'm adding shadow, not just the dark value. So I'm going to add shadow on the shadow side using still kind of the same value, which is really dark, and adding basically some sort of a core shadow or a deeper shadow than it has before. So I kind of usually when I paint, I slowly expand from the mid-tone to darker and then lighter. So I work from the midway out. And I think this it has been working out for me overall this year when I work from the midway out, because when you don't use an extreme value in the beginning, chances are your value will be correct, because you save those extreme value for highlight and occlusion shadow. So now I'm making a normal layer right on top of the outline layer, because I'm gonna paint it for you. Now I'm using eraser to erase some of the dark out from the Bat logo to make a little bit of highlight before I start going painting. So I switch back and forth in between layer. You have to remember which layer you have what. It's gonna take a while to have a really good workflow to manage your layers and stuff. Just take some time. There's no rush. Take your time. You paint every day, so I would suggest paint at least, if you want to be really good, just paint at least a couple hours a day. But if you want to like actually do this for a living, be a concept artist or illustrator, you're gonna have to spend way more. And go take some class from a professional guy that actually work in the industry. So you're probably gonna benefit a lot more. All right, so from here on, I'm just gonna make everything put everything in folder, and I'm gonna merge it down one layer. Merge everything down. Wait, let me see. Okay, so alright, I merged just the body basically. Something happened there. Okay, I actually toned down the outline a little bit, and I have to make sure that the bottom part that I merged down has 100% flat value. Otherwise, you will, right here, I have some unwanted value there that is not supposed to be there, like on this light outline. So it's going to take me a while to fix. So this is why this one take a bit longer, because I make a mistake of not having a total solid outline. But so now I have not having a total solid silhouette. So if your silhouette is solid, this shouldn't happen. You shouldn't have this weird outline going on. And now I make his waistline a bit thicker. Gonna beef him up a little bit more. Okay, so now he look a bit more realistic since his waistline is not too little anymore. But if you are Mr. Olympia, or then your waistline probably be really small, and then your shoulder would be pretty big. But Batman is not Mr. Universe. Is that what you call Mr. Universe or Mr. Olympia? I'm not sure. And now I'm trying to fix all this shadow and light. Sorry, got lost there for a little bit. And whenever you put light and shadow, you have to make sure which part will be the light and which part will be the shadow. So now I'm dealing with the shadow side basically. So the light that you see, the lighter part on the shadow side, are not as light as the light on this side that I'm painting right now. Like those are going to be in the shadow. So the 3/4 of the lower part of the body is in the shadow, and about almost half of the face is in the shadow. And on this side it will be light. So if you don't really know what I'm talking about, if you paint a lot, just paint every day and watch a bunch of tutorial from me, then eventually you will kind of like know what I'm talking about, what is in the light and what's in the shadow. So you have to decide whether the setting up the value of the light will be stay in the light, and the value of the shadow will stay in the shadow. So you can add the detail in the shadow by using the setting value of the shadow range, the value on the shadow range and the value on the light range. And once you know what values in the light and what values in the shadow, you will have a more successful painting. That it's just not everything kind of having everything soft brush and everything's round. There's no hard edge. You need hard edge, and you need light side, and you need shadow side to be able to show form. And now I use texture brush to making some transition on the pecs and on his delt. Can you just say delt? Delt, it just means deltoid. And I'm just cleaning that up on that side a bit, trying to make a nice transition, and using eraser to soften up some of the rough edges, and making the layer on top. Actually, I deleted it because I realized I need eraser, so just deal with one layer, why not? And then trying to cleaning up, or what I mean by clean up is make a more solid line of light and shadow. Like here, I add a little bit of armpit on one side and the pecs. So in here, I can zoom in a little bit because I have all the value laid out. So I have to make sure that I stay within the value range of the area that I'm painting. If I'm going to introducing a new value in the area, then I have to zoom out and I have to kind of make sure that that value will work on that area. So Now I'm just smoothing out the head a little bit more, his mask, because there's still a lot of unwanted texture or unwanted rough edges of the paint. It looks like underpaint basically, so I have to clean it up. And the way to clean it up is make it clear by using one value on one area and have a nice transition when needed. And like I said, depends on the plane, what kind of plane you're dealing with. Is it round? It's all about geometry shape. So if it's a round plane, if it's a circular shape, if it's cylinder, if it's edges. So using overlay again on top and painting skin color on his face and eye. This is gonna be a fun part. I usually don't like painting eye that much because it takes too long. Because if you make the iris or if you make the pupil look in the wrong way, everything will look wrong. Like the whole painting is invalid. So I don't like to paint eyes that much. So now I put a little bit more greenish onto the body on the overlay. Also on the costume only, not on the face. And I make another overlay layer again. And I think this one I'm just gonna try to either add more light onto the pecs and the head. There. So I keep adding more. As I say, I work from mid-tone and then I gradually change, move the dark into the darker and the light into the lighter area. Like, so increase the contrast as it goes. So in this one I add the light, which is I add the kind of cream or the background color back in, because I add the grayer color onto the body, and it kind of needed that it needed that light from the environment. So now I'm gonna merge all this down because it's just only on the body that I paint. I didn't paint anything on the background, so I merge it down to one layer. Then I'm trying to make his forehead a little rounder by adding more highlight and making nice transition and having some sort of bounce light or overhead light, rim light on the back of his helmet, because his helmet is like a glossy leather or something. Then another light that hit on the side of his bat ear. So I'm gonna make his bat ear a little more symmetry. We're almost done, basically. I'm not sure, maybe, because I look at the video length, it's about like almost an hour or something. So, all right. So now I'm just gonna erase. Right now I'm just gonna take care of the silhouette, one side and the other side. Make sure that he has, like, if you make a silhouette is really important. I can't emphasize enough. Like, if you watch any of my speed painting video, I'll talk about silhouette, light and shadow all the time. Silhouette, light and shadow, and then soft edges. So these are important because if your silhouette looks good to begin with, you don't have to do much to sell. You don't have to render that much to sell. You have to put light and shadow on the right place. So like right now, I just put a little random line for the neck and for the folding on the cape. Not a lot of rendering at all, just brush stroke. And it sells already like folding and wrinkle, right? So you don't have to like go in and try to render everything. Too much time. You just have to make everything look semi-realistic, using light and shadow instead of trying to go and render everything in. But you have to know how light behave and how shadow behave and what kind of shadow you're dealing with and what kind of material you're dealing with. So if you notice on his helmet, it's a little more glossier than the other area of the suit, and the body will be a little less glossy, be a little more maybe fabric-like. So now I'm going to around his eye area and I have to make sure that it looks like it has some depth onto the mask, to the eye. and then I'm gonna have some shadow on the underside of that half mask. And I think I'm gonna make his face a little more realistic because his mouth still look a little more stylized. Not that I have problem with stylized. I do. I draw stylized stuff all the time. And sometimes I will paint some cartoony and stylized stuff. So now I paint some light color. If you notice, it's not white. If you look at the HSB, it's 50 something, 58 or something. It's not as white as all. It's like it depends on the area. If the area is not that light, you can't put white in there. And a lot of people, or I've seen some of my early students, like they will, when they paint the eye, they'll put like something almost white there. So no, depends on the surrounding. Like if you are if you're in the dark scenario, then it can be that light. Now I'm making his lips a little bit more human-like, shorter, and fit the style that I'm making. And now I just realized one thing. I forgot to make Ben Affleck bat chin. I was kind of just painting more like Christian Bale, I guess, with the new costume design. Damn, I should have added like his double chin in there. Alright, so now I'm just kind of cleaning up the value. So important thing is, make sure which face is facing where and how the light react to the face. Now I'm gonna creating some frown on his eyebrows. Batman's never happy, so if he's happy, he probably would be Batman. Why else? Okay, so there, make the browns a little rougher. And add some texture to the highlight. So now I'm just gonna fast forward just a little because most of the stuff are already in there. So this will just be minor stuff and a little, not minor, but it's more subtlety, and it's gonna take some time to just get one area. So now I'm just trying to make sure I have the right edges, transition. Like I said, all that I said before we get to this point, that's pretty much the point. Soft edge, hard edge, and make sure that all the faces, material, all kinds of things. It's the same thing over and over, but then you have to know what it is. And sometimes, even though you know what it is, sometimes when you there's two different levels of understanding, especially in painting or even in any sport that involve movement or hand-eye coordination, even video games. You can understand it intellectually, which is when I'm saying right now, you understand what I'm talking about, and you can. But then when you execute it, it doesn't come out the way you want. So that's when you understand it intellectually. But to understand it in the practically or intuitively, and it become your second nature, it's gonna take a lot of practice. So because sometimes if you're a beginner, you start, let's just say I set up 3 rules, and then I talk about maybe 8 rules, then you only remember 3 rules to begin with. Just take it a step at a time. Then the other 5 rules you kind of know, but you don't. So once you keep those 3 things that I said and keep it to heart and make it your second nature, then you're going to start to recognize number 4 and number 5 and number 6. And then as times go by, you're going to remember number 7 and number 8. So it's kind of like that. And it's also going to be pretty good if you join some art group or forum, so somebody can give you feedback and make sure that they know what they're talking about. Kind of check out, if you're on Facebook, check out a profile. If they talk about something, check their profile and look at their art, not just like let them babbling and tell you stuff. They have to have some credential. That's kind of important. Like if they do good work, then yeah, chances are you should believe it. But if they don't have anything to kind of prove or something, they might have the point, but you better be safe than sorry. So everything, is all about like what else you can do. And if you're watching the tutorial, and if the guy who made the tutorial is not better than you, then you shouldn't be watching the tutorial that he made. It's kind of like the same thing, you know what I mean? If somebody's gonna give somebody advice, he's better been there before. So, all right, now I'm adding a bit more detail. Like I said, at this point, it just eyeballing, trying to find I'm looking for the loose end and tighten up the loose end. A little bit of value change, a little bit of edge, a little bit of texture change or material change, cleaning up some of the light right there. Usually on top of your upper lips will have the light, and then your lower lips will hit the light because your lower lips facing up. And then around that cheekbone and jawline on the shadow side, there was a different value than the jawline and cheekbone on the left side. And now I'm adding a little more highlight onto the gloves and onto this bat utility belt. And as you can see, if I'm adding an extreme value, I will zoom out automatically because I want to make sure that the value I put, the new value I introduce into the area is correct. And when you zoom out, you see if it's correct or not. So, and now, what am I doing? I'm not sure. I'm making an overlay on top, just adding some more light. Just kind of testing it out if I add more light and it's going to look better or not. So yeah, I guess so. It's kind of look cool, but sometimes you don't know. I might take it out, and now I'm making another normal layer. Now I'm adding a bit of thinking about rim light or and highlight. So adding highlight, and usually sometimes I have a tendency to overdo things, especially if I'm sitting in a chair for over a couple hours, and this one I'm painting right after I was finishing something. I was just gonna do it quickly. It was supposed to be a 30 minutes speed painting of Batman, and then it didn't turn out like I want after 30 minutes, so I just like, fuck it, I want to make it look good. Sorry, I just said the F word. I hope you guys are over 13. And then I end up to kind of make it a little more realistic than I want it to be. So here, Batman. And again, if you are interested in taking class in Digital Painting 101 or character design, or either private session, one-on-one training, you can go to click on the icon on the top right corner. Then you will find a link to go to the group class or the private session, or if you want. And I was thinking about making, I don't know, a Patreon webpage or something. Is that what it's called? Some people told me to do it, but I wasn't sure. Let me know if you've ever done the Patreon or know people who done the Patreon before. And I want to know what your opinions are. Just post them on a comment below. This video is pretty long. I mean, say something, A lot of time I don't see you guys say a bunch of stuff. I see a bunch of view and, oh, don't forget to click like, because I only get like 10% of maybe the overall view, just the like. And a couple of days ago, I think a bunch of my video got 2 dislikes on each one of them, which is kind of weird. So I just went and looked at where is it coming from? Because all of a sudden it's happened on the same day. Somebody just kind of hating me or something. I don't really care usually, but I mean, come on. I make tutorial. It's pretty decent. It's help you guys. And then this, I just found out that this 2 dislike came from the same location. which is one is Romania and the other one is in North America or USA. So, and it actually, if you want to go deeper, you could probably find the IP address. And I wish Google has a way to kind of block those guys. So I don't get the dislike, because dislike is affecting your viewing or affecting your sort of Google algorithm or something. So yeah, and I mean, I just click more like, so help me out here, and I hope this video find good way to you guys. So now I'm adding blabbing a lot now. I'm just adding rim light, so it's a bounce light, so adding onto the pecs and a little bit to, so the bounce light will come, the underlighting will come in one direction, and in this one it's coming from the lower right corner of the screen. And when it comes from the lower right corner of the screen, whatever plane that facing that way will get the light, like that forearm right there and that pecs will get that light. And if the object has a parallel line to the direction of the light, it will not get the light. Only when it's facing that direction or the plane going against the light, you will get that bounce light. So anyways, just add a little bit of bounce light, try not to overdo it, and a little bit on the face there, on the jaw. Now that I thought about the double chin of Ben Affleck, I should have. Okay, so this is more like a Batman in the new Batman and Superman. Alright, I hope you guys find this video helpful, and I'm just gonna stop it here. So this Batman. And adding a little more highlight to the forearm there. And now I'm just playing around with curve. Not sure if I will use it. Try to see more contrast. Like curve usually help, you adjust the final result. And I tone it down because it's kind of a little too strong. I don't use curve that much. Usually I'll use level, basically. And then now I'm toning the using color balance to balance everything out. You can make it gray, blue, yellow, however you want. Just play with it, you know what I mean? Alright, here's the final Batman I decided to go with. So, if you want more tutorial and a longer tutorial on a premium tutorial, click on the top right corner. Then you find a 2 hours tutorial on a bunch of stuff like anatomy, character design. Just go download it. And I'm not sure if I'm going to making a Patreon page, but if I do, it's probably going to be on that icon. So click there to support. And if I have enough supporter, I will release all the premium tutorial to every single one of you guys who support the Patreon. So you don't have to buy from the website anymore, and everybody who support the Patreon will get it. Just go read if I have that page. If I don't, then wait for the next video. And on Sunday I will have a longer tutorial also. It's on Sunday usually I'll make a more simpler tutorial. In this one it's going to be how to draw arm in a different position and in a different kind of rotation, and see what muscle is doing what to what. But you see it will be good. Alright guys, well, have a good rest of the day, or if you are somewhere it's at night, have a good night. Alright, bye bye.